So the morning after Mark Carney gives his address of all the things that he wants to do, doesn't really give us any details, however, says that we are going to expand our trade. We have to make some tough decisions, going to have to stop doing these things, going to have to start doing the things we must do, this verbiage and conversation he was having. Well, news broke this morning that we are looking to engage in bilateral trade negotiations with China for the first time in close to 8 years. Not even Trudeau was engaging in conversations with China. Not even Trudeau was engaging in bilateral trade negotiations with China. But guess what? In the first 6 months, the man you call in a crisis is looking to get something done in his first 7 months as a prime minister. Oh, baby. That's why we'll be talking about what that all means, what's happening there. Secondly, to expand on a point we made in this morning's episode, the NDP, the Fabulous Seven, whatever you want to call them. Well, even when it's only 7 of them, they can't agree on really anything at this point. This party can't seem to get out of their own way, and it's hilarious to watch all of it go down. We'll be getting into the details of what that all means, especially in light of a budget upcoming vote. Welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. If you get any value from today's episode, take the time to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get to new audiences and helps people see that there is something different than what the mainstream media has to offer. And now, let's get into our first story, shall we? So, Anita Anand on a hot streak these days, talking to everybody, trying to get something done, trying to get a deal done with India, and now is looking to expand and get a deal done with China. This is getting the people going hot and bothered under the collar these days, myself included, especially in light of all things that China's been doing, how they've been undermining our country, undermining our systems and our institutions, and we're going to reward them with, hey, let's do more trade with you. If this is any indication of what's to come, well, these Chinese EV tariffs could be getting dropped, I imagine, and we could be engaging in more trade and being more intertwined with China as we go forward. But however, let's read the article, shall we? Canada, in strategic partnership with China, minister says, just 3 years after Canada called China a disruptive global power, Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says Canada now views Beijing as a strategic partner in a dangerous world. Can you hold the laughter? Can you hold the laughter? In a dangerous world. Who's making it dangerous, Anita? We want to know who's making the world more dangerous. We'll say it together. Say it nice and slow. Is it China? Or no, Donald Trump. You're going to say Donald Trump probably. Anyways, Anand told the Canadian press on Monday that a strategic partnership with China means going forward allowing individual irritants to restrain the entire relationship and permitting Canada to advance its economic and security interests. It's necessary for us to lay the foundation if we are going to find areas where we can further cooperate, she said. She spoke after visiting senior officials in China, India, and Singapore, and just days before Prime Minister Mark Carney departs on his first visit to Asia since taking office, with stops in Malaysia, Singapore, and South Korea. Her visit marks a shift away from the federal government's 2022 Indo-Pacific strategy, which branded China as an increasingly disruptive global power that holds interests and values that increasingly depart from ours. Yeah, putting people in concentration camps is one of those. Just going to put that out there. Anand said she's seeking a balance between alleviating economic stress and pursuing Ottawa's security and human rights priorities. Good one. We must be nuanced in our diplomacy, she says. Wow, that's a word I've never heard a liberal say. We must stress our concerns relating to security and public safety on one hand, and we must seek to build additional supply chains on the other. That is called pragmatism, she said. Oh, she borrowed that one from Mark Carney. He taught her well. While she did not name U.S. President Donald Trump directly, his tariffs have hit numerous Canadian sectors and hindered foreign investment even after Ottawa emulated American restrictions on Chinese vehicles. In Beijing last week, both countries agreed to revisit the strategic partnership they signed in January of 2005. Anand said both sides will make the agreement renewed and refocused to meet today's needs. All right. So this is the vibe we're getting here, right? Canada's desperate. We're in tough times here. We do need to get deals going. We need to get industry moving. We do have to bring money into the country. And we're struggling to do that these days. You can guess why we're struggling with that. However, the Liberals can't seem to get out of their own way. Because of their own policies, they're now forcing them into the hand of having to work with China more and more. We've said it ad nauseum on the show over the last year at this point. China hates us. They are actively pushing fentanyl into our country. They are subverting our institutions. They are using our banking institutions to launder money. And they are threatening Canadian citizens to stay quiet if they ever speak out about Xi Jinping in China. And they've put police stations here in Canada. And we want to increase ties with these guys. We increase them, we want to increase them to help with the more dangerous world that we have at hand. Stuff writes itself, doesn't it? At this point, what caught my eye the most, and this is what really got my goat, was the end of this article. In its own summary of the discussion, China's foreign ministry mentioned Ottawa's longstanding position of not recognizing Taiwan as an independent country. Anand said that is still Canada's Taiwan policy. We do adhere to the one China policy, and I want to emphasize that Canada is a world leader in advancing human rights and the rules-based international order. That's never going to change, she said. Diplomacy is best done minister to minister, and we will always put the needs of Canadians first, and we will continue our engagement with Taiwan. So again, this one China policy, in general, the relationship with Taiwan and China has always been weird, right? Taiwan views itself as being autonomous from China. The problem is no one else is really totally recognizing them because of pressure from China. So China's like, no, China owns all this. This is all ours. However, Canada's like, yeah, but no, if we want to trade with you, we have to accept that. US has a more of a nuanced take on this one where they have like a half and half with China. They're just like, yeah, we won't say outright that Taiwan's its own thing, but we're going to treat them as their own thing. So deal with it. Whereas Canada is a smaller player, so we have to play into China's hand, I guess, at this point. If we don't want to take a principled stance, that's what they're forced to do, I guess. And so for Anita Anand to get up there and say, hey, we still believe in human rights, we still believe in democracy, we still believe in Western values, yet we're going to bend the knee to China and their one China policy as they continue to subvert our country. I don't know if you remember, we had a whole hubbub about this with ministers being compromised by the likes of China. I don't know if you remember, but this is also happening in our country. About
allegations about certain groups and their affiliates operating in Prince Edward Island, and it's really come to a head over the last week or so. There's a book written about this by credible people from the RCMP, from CSIS, and they've made allegations, and really came to a head last week with a press conference in Ottawa. It's left Islanders unsettled and uneasy with all of these questions, and I think they deserve answers. I've called on the federal authorities who have the mandate, the expertise, and the authority to undertake these types of investigations, to look into it, and I think that's where we are now because Islanders deserve answers.
So just a reminder, China and their group, the United Front, buying up property and buying up a bunch of PEI in the process and likely other parts of our country in the process. That's who we want to continue trade with. Okay, got it. This is the issue we have, right? And this comes back down to Canada's strategies. Because of our policies back at home, it's not allowing us to develop our own resources. It's not really giving us options to get to other markets. Our hands are tied because we want to go green, right? And so if that's the case, we're struggling in getting a deal with the United States. We're trying to get something done with India. Well, it leaves China. Well, money's not coming in. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to make money because we can't do it because we refuse to build any pipelines. We also refuse to really go after conventional energy, which is where the money is right now. How do we make money again? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to expand our trade with China now. Diplomacy and nuance, they say. Diplomacy and nuance. You sure you want to trust these guys moving forward, Canada? You sure you want to trust these guys moving forward? They are willing to put their trust into a country that still has slave labor. They want to put their trust in a country that is spying on our citizens. They want to put their trust in a country that treats their citizens as some of their citizens as subpar and puts them in concentration camps. This is who we want to trust and expand trade relations with. Got it. Understood. I'm just going to leave that at that. For now. This is a tenuous subject, obviously. People have questions. We will continue to keep an eye and watch how this all unfolds. I just don't see this going well for us. It shows you how desperate we are that we're willing to do this after close to 8 years of not having bilateral conversations with China at this point. 'Tis wild, folks. 'Tis wild. And I think the last point, again, the whole China-Taiwan thing. If you remember, you may not know this because it happened so under the radar, but remember when, I think it was John Cena was in Fast 7, whatever was it in? Fast and Furious 7, I think that's one he was in. Fast 6, whatever which one it was. Or F9. I was thinking that was Fast 9. So he was in that, right? And he was over in China promoting the movie, and he said he recognized China as its own country. Well, that freaked everyone out over there. And they forced John Cena to apologize and acknowledge that China had control over Taiwan. And he did apologize. And he apologized.
我做很多采访，很多，所以在一个采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，处理剧情主任给我很多资讯 information， 所以很多采访，很多 information， 我有一个错误，我必须说现在就是很重要。我爱更尊重中国跟中国人，我很抱歉对我的错误，对不起，我很抱歉，你必须了解，我很爱。很尊重中国跟中国人。
That's how weird all this stuff gets, folks. So I'll leave that at that. Let's move on to something a little lighter because, it's a little more fun. The NDP are in kind of a tough spot these days, aren't they? Jagmeet Singh undid all the work the NDP have done over the years in the matter of 4 years. And now they have 7 seats in the House. They don't have party status. And they do have some control over if they're going to pass the budget with the Liberals on November 4th. The Bloc, the Conservatives, are on record saying, if things don't change, we are not passing this. So that puts all eyes on the NDP of what you're going to do. And the NDP, as we shared this morning, they're lashing out. They're getting frustrated. They're getting very vocal with how frustrated they are with the Liberals these days. And even so, former NDP leader was questioned on CTV about this and what his perspective on all of it is and what he's hearing. And this is what Tom Mulcair had to say about what's happening with the NDP as we speak.
I'll make a clear prediction. The Conservatives will, every single one of them, vote against the budget no matter what's in it. The Bloc Québécois is already signaling that they're feeling their oats. They're going to vote against it. The key players, therefore, become the 7 NDP members of Parliament. And I think that Don Davies is already signaling that with the progressive stuff in the budget, they don't take away the dental plan. They keep investing in childcare. That is an investment for the future, by the way. And even adding a bit more money to the school program for kids who, the school lunch program, that help the kids at the bottom rung of the economic ladder. Well, I think that those are things that the NDP doesn't have to vote against. Now, there is a schism right now in the NDP. How many socialists does it take to have a schism? Apparently 7. And so there is a bit of infighting going on right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them either voted against the budget or just didn't show up to vote on the budget.
Interesting.
So that's where the NDP at right now. It takes 3. The Liberals need 3 votes to get their budget passed on November 4th. So 7 NDP, they only need 3 of them to vote. However, he's saying, it could be a couple, maybe 3 who just don't show up at all. And you're going to have 4 NDP sitting there voting this through. So we'll see where it goes on. So it likely will pass if that's the vibe that's going on right now. But even in the 7 members that are in Parliament for the NDP, even they are all fighting, even to the point that Tom Mulcair had to laugh and be like, how many socialists does it take to have a fight? Well, apparently 7. It is wild to watch. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there. However, we'll keep an eye on everything that's kind of going on and transpiring because there's a lot moving, because we do know that the Liberals' bail reform bill was tabled today, and we'll be kind of walking through the details of that as that all comes about, and we'll inform you right here. But anyways, enjoy your day. Have yourself a good one. I'm out.